know it's crazy.
Or what was responsible?
Jason Voorhees, you know your fucking mind. You've been out in the sun too long. Jason Voorhees is dead. His body was cremated. He's nothing but a handful of ash. All right, either you got the car started or you're a dead man. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-too. Leave me alone! Oh, if that's the way you feel, forget it, Vic. Just forget it.
Who the fuck are you? What the fuck do you want?
Let's get this show on the roll.
They call me Reggie the Reckless.
Relax, Chief. What's wrong? No sense of humor? Can't you take a joke? Ooh, baby, 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 ooh, baby.
It's showtime.
Lana! Hey, hey!
Girl, you are so hot. Hi, it's Kimberly back from Friday the 13th, Part 4, and you're listening to The Hysteria Continues.
And indeed you are. Welcome back to The Hysteria Continues. And this time, of course, we're in time on a tradition. We're going back to Crystal Lake, or near Crystal Lake anyway, for Friday 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, which is in a tradition which I think we stole from Scream Queens. Thank you, Patrick. We're covering a Friday 13th every Friday 13th. And I know some of my co-hosts are pretty excited about following this one, but doing this one. So, Erik, are you quite excited about doing it?
Right. Yeah, I am. I'm so excited. I want to dance. Bow, bow, bow. Do, do, diddle-a-dow. Bow, bow, bow. Ow!
Yes. So, have you been eating enchiladas in preparation?
Well, better not, because they were goddamn enchiladas, and But I am beside my ensuite at the moment, so if the enchiladas do come calling, I'm in the right place.
Oh, right. So you're next to your own suite. You're not sitting on you haven't got a commode.
No, I'm not. I'm not actually sitting on a toilet.
Okay, that would be very Friday 13th Part 5, though, wouldn't it? If we were all sitting on toilets.
Yeah.
Because this film has, we'll talk about the
lots of toilet action. Yeah.
Toilet action in this film. Nathan, are you excited to be doing it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
He's emoting like Melanie Kinnaman. Oops, yes. Have I said too much?
That was rude.
It's going to be one of those shows. And Joseph, how about you? Are you excited to be doing it?
Oh!
So it's enchiladas again.
Yeah. I am so excited because, as you know, well, you'll find out.
Well, I think Joseph is probably... you've been gagging for this one, haven't you?
Yes. Got a mouthful ready for it.
Yes, well, we're back to Crystal Lake, or UNGA. Is it UNGA? Mental Health Facility?
The UNGA Institute of Mental Health.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah.
And a very touching portrayal of mental health problems in our youth. Friday 13th, Part 5. But we'll come on to that a little bit later. That's going to be in our feature presentation. We've got a few listener questions, and we're talking about recently seen. But just to say, I know I always say this and it doesn't make any difference when you listen to it, but we're recording this about 3 or 4 weeks before you're going to hear it. So anything could happen in that time. I mean, there could be a zombie invasion. Toya could have another top 10 hit. Stranger things could have happened, but all very unlikely.
What?
Well, probably very unlikely, isn't it? Zombies will come back.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well, probably more likely than Toya having another hit. But Anyway, so, and also we haven't got any feedback, and that's because, again, if you've sent in feedback and you're not hearing it this time, again, that's because we're recording early, again, because we're accommodating Erik on one of his many jaunts.
Yes.
Back to a Turkish prison. I'm
going to Greece.
You're going to Greece, okay.
Not Turkey.
Right, but that's still got lots of fat, hairy men, isn't it, in Turkey and Greece?
Yeah, and there's about to be 2 more.
Right. Okay. Well, yes. Well, we'll look forward to hearing back about that, won't we? So, Erik, well, why don't you tell us? Have you been watching anything of note in the last?
I did.
week?
I watched the latest Edgar Wright, Simon Pegg, Nick Frost collaboration, The World's End. This time, this is their, I suppose, the third in their trilogy following Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and this time it follows a gang of 5 friends who try to relive their teen years by going on this infamous pub crawl around their hometown. However, they slowly begin to realize that their hometown is not how they remembered it, and people are acting very strangely. And what has happened, and this isn't really a spoiler because it's in the trailers, is that the town has been taken over by alien robots. So in some respects, it follows the structure of From Dusk Till Dawn, because for the first 40 minutes, there's no inkling that there's going to be any kind of supernatural switcheroo coming up. But and I say, if you went into the film without knowing anything about it, you'd get quite a shock when that happens. I thought the film was great fun. I mean, it's not that I'm not a fan of Shaun of the Dead. I thought it was a good film, but I didn't think it was the masterpiece a lot of people were making out. I thought Hot Fuzz was better, and I thought this one was as good as Hot Fuzz. I really enjoyed it, I have to say. It's got great alien effects. Well, I suppose it's borrowing liberally from Demons, the Lamberto Bava film, in that the aliens go around with glowing eyes, and it gives them kind of an eerie look. But the film is primarily a comedy, and it's a very funny one at that, I thought. I don't know if have you seen it, Justin?
Yeah, I saw it a couple of months ago, and I quite liked it. I didn't think it was as good as Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead, if I'm honest. I thought it was okay. I thought it had a bit of a weird kind of homophobic thing running through it, didn't it? Lots of gay jokes. Yeah, did you not notice?
No,
okay.
I did.
Well,
I can't say I spotted that.
No.
I'm afraid it had a great soundtrack.
The soundtrack was great. Yeah, no,
it was
I thought
all
the soundtrack
early
was really
'90s, late '80s, early '90s. I suppose indie pop, Stone Roses, Charlatans, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, so I liked all of that, and that was all good, and it was good fun, and it was quite exciting towards the end and stuff. So, but not one that I'd watched. I still think Shaun of the Dead is the best film they've done.
All right.
But
have you seen it, Joseph? Or
no, what's it
Nathan?
called?
The World's End.
Oh, no, not yet.
Okay.
I plan to, but I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, and then on the flip side of that, I saw a very, very low-budget film from 1975, which has come out recently on Code Red DVD, called Devil's Express. Okay. And its lead actor is called Warhawk Tanzania.
Wow!
And he's this dude with a big black afro. It's basically it's a kung fu movie that's also a New York street gang movie, that's also a blaxploitation movie, that's also a monster movie, because it deals with gangs fighting each other with big afros, and there's a demon in the subway killing people off. So it's kind of like Deathline in that respect. And I mean, it's compellingly odd. It shifts between different subgenres, and the flick of a switch. It follows this kung fu master and his student who unwittingly unleash this demon whilst on a jaunt in China, and it follows them back to New York. It starts, killing lots of people off, and it's very, very silly. And the finale has the wonderfully named, as I said, Warhawk Tanzania, battling demons in this. I suppose it's a gold lame pair of dungarees, flared dungarees, to add to the fun, and which is quite a sight to behold. I would highly recommend it.
Wow, I've never even heard of that.
I'd never heard of it either. I just kind of bought it on a whim, and I'm delighted I did. It was great fun. Okay, and what about you, Nathan and Joseph? You heard of that?
No. I've heard of it, but I have not seen it.
No. Okay. Well, that's one to look out for. So thank you, Erik. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay. Right. Well, Nathan, how about you?
Let's see. Well, we went over to Grant's on Friday night and watched a couple of movies. We watched first we watched The Zero Boys, which is it's I don't even know if it's really a slasher movie. I'm like, I mean, there's not enough deaths in it, in my opinion. I mean, I liked it, and the cinematography was terrific. The direction was great, but the script was a little weak. And, I mean, it's just weird seeing Kelly Maroney spouting out the one line where, they get to the cabin in the woods and, they find a lot of men's clothes in the cabin. And they're talking about, whose cabin it could be. And then Kelly Maroney just says, her character says, it's probably just a bunch of faggots living out here. It's just a very odd line to me. I just picture Kelly Maroney as the sweet, girl from Chopping Mall.
Yes. Well, she didn't write the dialogue, did she? But
No, she didn't write the dialogue. So I'm not saying it's her. I'm just saying, I picture. It's hard for me to picture her playing, I guess that kind of character.
Yeah. Is she?
In the '80s, it was a kind of a different time. That was more of a loose term than it is a derogatory term. So, but still, it is an odd line.
I haven't seen it for years. Is it kind of very? It's in the kind of the Southern Comfort, sort of backwards, kind of hillbilly type line, is it?
Yeah, but it's nowhere near the level of Southern Comfort.
Okay.
I think Southern Comfort's a really, really good movie. But no, I mean, I like
Justin thinks it's a really good drink.
I don't think it's a good drink. I don't.
Oh, do you not?
No, I hate Southern Comfort. I used to drink it all the time when I was a teenager, and I was sick on it. So I've never drunk it since. I don't really like sweet drinks.
Sweet. Southern Comfort sweet, yeah, right.
It's kind of sickly, yeah.
It's sickly, isn't it? Yeah.
Ugh, I hate Southern Comfort.
It's horrible, isn't it? Yeah. But the film...
I'd rather drink Comfort, the fabric softener.
Yes, that is true. That's true. Well, I'm actually sitting here drinking a beetroot and spirulina kind of mixture. So
what's
I'm being very healthy.
spirulina?
Justin, it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
What is spirulina?
It's a green algae.
Lovely.
It's algae?
Algae, like seaweed.
Yeah, algae.
That's algae.
Yeah.
Algae.
Well, yeah. Beetroot and spirulina. My taste buds are alive.
This must be thrilling for our listeners listening in. So anyway, if you want to listen to, I can always pop up that vegan cheese recipe again if you want to hear it. But sorry, Nathan, going back to your Zero Boys.
Oh, well, I mean, like I said, the direction's the best part about it.
Okay. Is Nico, what's his name?
Masterakis, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who did Island of Death, which also has very sus attitude towards homosexuality.
The characters are so stupid. Like they have guns and they go into this barn and they know that there's a killer and they're just like, let's just tear this place apart. And then they just waste all their bullets shooting the barn. And that there's some crazy hillbillies running around and you are going to waste all your bullets just shooting the walls. That makes sense.
It's not one that we're not going to rush back and watch it, are we? It's probably not one that's going to appear on the show anytime soon.
No, I mean, not anytime soon, I wouldn't imagine.
No, okay. Joseph, did you have any thoughts on that one, or Erik?
I've never seen Zero Boys.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd seen it before, but I watched it again with Nathan and Grant. It's a very entertaining movie, but Nathan is right. The script is very poor, but the cinematography is beyond excellent. I mean, it's whoever the DP was in that film is just he was very, very talented. I mean, it's some very, very striking imagery, but it's just a very weak, story, and the body count's too low, and the characters are kind of not really memorable outside of Kelly Maroney. So I liked it, but at the same time, it's not one I'll rush out to see again. Yeah.
Sorry, just taking a big sip of my beetroot and spirulina. Okay.
But I shouldn't say just because of that one line that the movie's homophobic. I mean, that's the only line really in the whole movie. It's not like The Last Slumber Party, even though I love The Last Slumber Party. But it's not like it where the girls are spouting off anti-gay stuff all the time.
There's all stuff about, is it queer bags, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like queer, and then I think she said like Justin once mocked her because he was like, "Oh, he's such a fag. He took the duvet." So, yes.
Well, that's one we've covered, isn't it?
Yeah, we have.
Courtesy of you, Nathan, one of your picks. So if you want to hear what we said about that.
Well, yeah, and for fun, I figured I'll pick it, like a few years down the road as a remake. Like we can remake our own podcast episode with that one.
Oh, we could do, couldn't we? See if we like it anymore.
Yeah, I think you guys are going to love it better the next time around.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. So, anything else?
So aside from the Zero Boys, we watched Extra, which I'd never seen before. I always remembered the cover art when I was at the video store as a kid, but I'm not a sci-fi fan, and I know this movie doesn't take place in space, and it's not, I guess, not officially sci-fi, but that's just movies dealing with aliens and stuff just don't really appeal to me, so I never really watched it, but I really liked it. It's very bizarre, weird, and like Joseph said that night, it's very Cronenberg-esque. There's a great scene in the beginning where a couple's driving down this lonely road at night, and there's this creature just right there on the side of the road, and it's very startling when you see it. But I mean, I thought it was a decent watch. It's probably nothing I'm going to rush out and watch again, but I thought for a one-time watch, I really liked it. Thanks, Axe. I really liked it a lot. So, I'd recommend it if anybody hasn't seen it.
I've seen it. I haven't seen it for years. It was one of the video nasties, wasn't it?
It was.
I could see. I could understand that.
Especially, it's famous, isn't it, for the scene where the woman gives birth to a fully grown person or thing.
Yeah,
the Bond
that
girl.
She does, and he even bites the umbilical cord open himself.
Yes, was that Miriam Darbo?
She's in it, but I mean, she's not the one that gives birth to the full-grown man, though.
Right? Okay, but yeah, Eric, you've seen that, haven't you?
I have. Yeah, I do like that one. Especially that image that Nathan was saying, where they see the creature who's sort of like a kind of spider-like, I suppose. It's a ballast person arched over in a suit, I think, but it is quite startling, I think. But I mean, the film on a whole is very cheesy.
What about you, Joseph? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, yes, I love Extra. I'd seen it before, and so I was the only one who had seen it that Friday. But yeah, it's very Cronenberg-esque and just bizarre, and a lot of great effects. It's actually one I could watch a lot. I liked it that much. It's very unusual.
So, just a quick question: What's Grant? Does he like all the films you watch?
Yeah, I mean, he's a little more
Usually.
pickier. He's pickier than we are because he's kind of backwards. I don't think his intelligence is not as high as mine and Nathan's intelligence. So we kind of have to explain things to him. But he tends to like a lot of these movies. He picks a lot of them. So yeah, he's a horror fan.
Just because Grant doesn't like Crazy Fat Ethel Part 2 doesn't mean he's picky.
Let's just put it this way. Grant is more of like a fat neck musclehead than he is like a horror scholar. So we kind of have to teach him things.
So I take it he doesn't listen to this show.
No.
His favorite movie of all time is the original Halloween.
Oh,
what was wrong with that?
He absolutely despises the Rob Zombie remakes.
So
he's
got some taste.
He's got some taste.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. Talking of Halloween, just on did you hear about the kind of the ultimate box set that's supposed to be coming out?
Well, it's the ultimate for now. Then they're going to dig up some extra 2 seconds of footage on one of the movies, and then they're going to release the ultimate.
Well, the only thing in it that none of us have and that we'd want is probably the Halloween 6 producer's cut.
Yes.
But unless it's sold separately, I wouldn't be willing to shell out $140 for the set.
Yeah, it's got the TV cut of Halloween 2, isn't it? But I can't really see the point in shelling out all that money for that. And also, it mean having to have 3 versions of Rob Zombie's Halloween and Halloween 2 as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is not, I don't want to pay for that.
No.
But and also it depends what kind of quality they get on the Blu-ray of Halloween 6 producer's cut. If it's just like a really bad sort of the kind of dub that's been floating around the internet for years.
Oh yeah, well then there's no point.
No, there's no point. But we will be covering presumably Halloween 6 at the end of the year, won't we?
Oh yeah, we will. We're up to 6 now.
Yeah. So, but anyway, sorry. So, Nathan, anything else?
That's about it. I had Wes watch Pieces again last night, so that was fun.
Oh yeah, did he enjoy it?
I wouldn't say he enjoyed it, but he he mainly was yelling at how stupid the people were and how, I guess, some scenes didn't make sense, like the kung fu scene when the guy blames, attacking Linda Day George on bad chop suey and walks off. I think Wes's attitude was more like, are they just going to let him go after he assaulted a police officer?
So he didn't
quite... It wasn't his fault. It was the chop suey.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the biggest complaint, or not the biggest, but one of the ones he kept complaining about is how they kept letting the college student basically become a police officer when he should be a suspect in these killings.
It's kind of interesting to get the perspective of somebody who doesn't, sees it kind of fresh.
Yeah.
Because we kind of just make these, after you watch enough of these movies, you're going to make those kind of certain allowances, don't you, for these things?
You have to, yeah.
You have to, yeah. So, but I know, Joseph, you've seen a big one, haven't you, this weekend?
Yes, I went to see the new Godzilla film because I'm a big Godzilla fan. I love giant monster movies. I love the old original Godzilla films. I love all the Versus films. There's some that are better than others, but I was completely underwhelmed with the new Godzilla, and I'll tell you why. It's because I did not give one iota about anyone in the film except for Bryan Cranston, and he has very little screen time. And so basically a lot of Godzilla films do this. They employ the vantage point of the humans watching the monster action from afar, and I have no problem with that. But when you don't care about anyone in the film, basically all you're watching is just a special effect in the background. And in the background is an understatement for this because they go out of their way to hide some of the Godzilla effects and, monster battles. It's not that the effects are bad. What I could tell, they actually look really good. But if they're good, why do you want to hide them so much? The movie's called Godzilla. Shouldn't you kind of want to flaunt that? It's kind of a double-edged sword. You really want to watch these movies for the human element and how they react. So if you can't follow anyone, if you can't really care about anyone, then you want to see Godzilla smash things to bits, and they just hide it. And it's a poor script. It's the acting's not really great. Aside from Bryan Cranston, who's excellent in the film, he's the best part of the film. I was just underwhelmed. It's a movie I was so looking forward to it because Gareth Edwards, who directed it, also did the very, very low budget Monsters from a few years back, which is a phenomenal film. It's much better on 500 times less the budget than this. I'm sure Godzilla is going to make a killing at the box office, and I'm actually kind of glad because that'll bring on more monster movies, and I think they're projecting almost 100 million for this weekend. So yeah, bring more monster movies on, but I want better monster movies. I was not a huge fan of Pacific Rim, which came out this past summer last year, but I liked it better than the Godzilla remake. And as it stands, I think I'm in a minority here, but I enjoyed Cloverfield more than I did the Godzilla remake. It's just it's just a massive disappointment. A lot of people may like it, more than I did, but I say skip it. Certainly don't shell out, almost $10 to go see it. Maybe wait for video or Blu-ray or whatever.
Okay, right. Well, I haven't seen it. Have you, Nathan or Erik?
No.
I've actually, the only Godzilla film I've ever seen in my life is that 1998 remake.
Okay. Now, I'm going to say something very, very controversial. I'm actually going to say I enjoyed that one more than this one because at least that one, as bad as it is, it knew that it was a dumb popcorn movie. This one, tries to be all serious, but it doesn't have the script to back itself up. So there's an unpopular opinion right there.
Well, I didn't mind the 1998 remake, I have to say. I remember the reviews were really harsh, and I thought, well, it's pretty standard cinema fare. I thought it was pretty decent.
It's a dumb popcorn monster movie, but it knew that it was a dumb popcorn monster movie, so it was enjoyable. This one thinks it's something it's not, and that's fine. If it wants to be something it's not, that's fine, but just at least have the characters and the script to back it up.
Okay, well, interesting. I'm probably going to go and see it on Tuesday, which, of course, would have been 3 weeks ago when you hear this anyway. So, but yeah, it's a shame. It's getting very good reviews, isn't it, from other people? But I do agree that it seems a bit strange for Godzilla to only have like 15 minutes screen time if a film is called Godzilla.
Well, that's not really the problem. I mean, a lot of these movies, they do that. A lot of the original Godzilla films, they kind of minimize his screen time, but they have this really good human element to them that you're seeing through the eyes of these people you like. And it's like I said, they have Bryan Cranston, whose performance is really good and his character is so fleshed out, but he has so little screen time. You're like, why not follow this guy who is interesting instead of this dumb, like, military cardboard cutout guy who's, like, just totally, po-faced and just boring. It's so frustrating.
Right. Well, tell it how it is, Joseph.
Yeah, don't sit on the fence.
I will.
Well, that's the Hysteria continues for you. Controversial as ever. And who knows what we're going to say when we get round to Farting the 13th. I mean, Friday the 13th, part 5. So, Joseph, anything else you've seen?
Just what we watched at Grant's and Godzilla. That's pretty much it for the week.
Okay. Well, I've seen absolutely nothing genre related this week at all. I know. I have seen some films, but they're not genre related at all. So, but one little aside is that I was near Southampton this weekend, and we drove back and went to a boot fair. Where we've spoken about boot fairs before, haven't we? And you know that it's kind of like, you don't have them in the States, do you? But they're like massive garage sales, but you have them in fields with everyone sells stuff out of the trunk of their car.
We call those flea markets.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
But we
have those, yeah.
But we were there, and Stuart got the fear because he said it reminded him too much of Eden Lake, this boot fair. Because there was just lots, because it's really hot here today, so there's lots of very fat people with not very much on.
Ooh. Are you saying Stuart bought the fear, or he was afraid?
He got the fear. He was afraid. He kind of had to go and sit in the car because he said it was like being in Eden Lake. So, which it was kind of quite frightening. Lots of fat people with tattoos and very.
Did you leave him in the car while you went shopping?
Yes.
Justin.
Well, I did. Well, I did buy a Partridge Family LP.
Oh, Justin.
I know. Well, I just said it was only 50p.
Oh, well, that's okay.
And I thought, well, it might be funny. And I got this very bizarre thing called 2 into 3, and it's a man and a woman on it who looked a bit like Sonny and Cher. It just looked very bizarre, so I bought it, and then they starts off with flamenco, and then becomes like Wagner, German Wagner cross pop from the 60s. So that was very strange. So I just picked up some odd LPs and some Motown and stuff. So while Stuart was hiding in the car, and I was, ignoring the fear.
Yes.
So, but that's my only genre-related thing this week. I haven't seen anything else genre-related. We're just finishing up on Breaking Bad with the Bryan Cranston sort of a connection there, and everything else I've seen has got nothing to do genre-related. So I won't even talk about it.
What do you think of Breaking Bad so far, Justin?
Well, controversial. It's taken us a long. We're up to the very last episode, so I'm not going to say anything about it in case people haven't seen it. But I enjoy it. I think it's really good. I just don't quite get the hype over it. It's not a film not a series that 5 seasons or whatever that we've kind of consumed voraciously, like some people have just said they couldn't get enough. I think it's very, very good, but it's not. I don't think it's as good as. Basically, it's not the Second Coming. Put it that way. So,
interesting.
Yes, but no, it's great. I'm glad I watched it, but I'm glad it's finally over. We got 1 episode to go. To be honest, I'm glad it's finished because it means I can get on and watch something else. So, anyway, enough of that. Let's talk. Let's talk some questions from readers' questions, shall we?
Sure.
In lieu of, although should we play this because I know people like it. Oh yeah, that damn cat is back.
Yes.
So, Joseph, what have you got for us, and who's it from?
This is from Tony Hartman, and he wants to know what our biggest slasher letdowns are. And I guess for me, mine would be Cherry Falls from, I guess it's 1999 or 2000-ish. I just think such a great premise where it's actually people who haven't had sex are getting killed off. And I just thought, it was very, by the numbers. not as good as it should have been. Characters I don't really much care about. Obvious identity of the murderer. It's a movie that could have been better than what it was.
Okay.
I would agree. I thought Cherry Falls looked to me. I haven't read anything about the background of it, but it looked like a troubled production because I don't know, things just seemed to happen at random, and it didn't have any kind of flow to it. I didn't think.
It was
a troubled production.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's never been released uncut, but it was quite a lot gorier, wasn't it, in the original version?
Yes. It was. Because originally it was going to be released, they were going to try to do a theatrical release, and it had, a lot of extra gore and scenes and things, and then they ended up releasing it to the USA Network. So they had to tone down all of the death scenes and cut out a few scenes just to make it fit the time slot.
What was really disappointing?
Cherry Falls was treated very unfairly.
Yes. But what was really disappointing about it, because it did get a release to UK screens, and I saw it at the cinema, but they released it, the cut version that they released to to that network, sort of the UK release, which was really pointless.
Well, when they released it on DVD over here, I was really excited because I thought, well, if they release it on DVD, they'll release, the uncut version. But no, I don't think it's ever been released uncut. It's always been that butchered TV version.
I kind of wonder if they actually ended up, because it was such a troubled production, I actually kind of wonder if they ended up, actually completing what their original vision was, or if they, got halfway through it and said, hey, look, guys, we don't have the funding to, finish this, so let's just tone it down. I wonder if there is a complete version out there.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting. It'd be a shame if it never gets a release uncut. Do you prefer it uncut, Erik?
Uncut. I'm not fussed.
Okay. Well, fair enough. So, thank you, Joseph. What about you, Nathan? What's your biggest slasher letdown?
That's difficult for me because I was trying to think of any movie that got built up for me, and then when I watched it, I wasn't that excited for it.
Really difficult for you,
maybe Madman and The Burning, both of them.
Okay.
Especially Madman was one of the ones that I kept hearing amazing things about. People were, it was almost like they were holding it up as high as the original Friday the 13th. So I guess I just had a huge, idea this is going to be an amazing slasher movie. And then I finally located it on VHS and I watched it, and I didn't hate it. I just thought it was okay. So, I didn't get the hype, I guess. And I've never understood the hype with The Burning either. So, I like both movies. Don't get me wrong. I like them. I just don't think they're that great.
Okay. Well, we've spoken about The Burning, haven't we, at quite some length in the past because we've done a show on it. But I imagine Madman will be coming up sooner rather than later, won't it? Yeah. So, okay, interesting. How about you, Erik?
Okay, well, mine would probably be, as Nathan was saying, ones that you build up in your mind and the concept sounds so good. So Jason Takes Manhattan, which I think I've mentioned before as a disappointment, because he doesn't actually really get to Manhattan until isn't even Manhattan until very late in the film. And when he does, it's kind of a damp squib. All the best stuff in that film for me is on the boat. So it was a bit of a letdown. And Halloween 4, which I was really looking forward to because I was such a fan of Halloween 1 and 2, and this was the big return of Michael Myers, and the reviews coming from the States were so positive. And, it took a full year for it to reach Ireland and the UK. So I had a full year sort of building this up in my head, going, oh, it's going to be as good as Halloween 2. And I hate Halloween 4. I just couldn't get into it at all. I've never been able to get into it, and I just still don't understand to this day how people can be so positive about it. It's just such a boring film.
I agree.
Yes, it is.
I agree, Erik.
Thank you.
I agree with you too, Erik.
Do you agree with me too, Justin?
No. I still prefer Halloween 4 to Halloween 5.
I prefer Halloween 5 completely.
I do too. I prefer Halloween 5.
All right. Okay. Anything else, Erik?
Probably again with sequels, maybe something like Freddy's Dead, because I was really looking forward to the 3D element, which was fun in the cinemas. But the prior to the 3D, it was just turgid nonsense. I just hated it, and I still don't like Freddy's Dead to this day. Oh, and also, I suppose, sorry, just one last one, New Nightmare, which was getting all these rave reviews, and when I watched it, I was like, it's all right, but what's the fuss about?
I loved New Nightmare when I saw it.
Did you?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
I agree with you, Justin.
Sorry?
I agree with you on that one. I thought New Nightmare was fantastic when I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, Erik, what's wrong with you?
Well, why don't you and Nathan get married? If that's the way you feel.
I'm half and half on New Nightmare. I think it's an excellent premise, but I don't think the execution is wonderful. I just think it's okay.
Okay.
I thought it was a very clever way of bringing Heather Langenkamp back to the series after what they did in part 3.
Yeah, I did as well. I thought it was clever. But again, it's not a film that I've seen for a long time because I'm not a massive fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street films, bar the first and second one. So
it's interesting that we haven't covered any of the Nightmare on Elm Street films.
Well, funny you should say that. At the back of my head, I'm thinking, might pick one soon. But we have to get through our listener picks first.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Just for me, we've spoken about this before, but Prom Night is probably one of the biggest letdowns. The remake, not the original.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the remake of Prom Night, which I thought was dreadful. And we've spoken about it. I'm not going to talk about it at length because it's the one I've never seen the whole thing because the DVD stopped working halfway through. So, which was very much a blessing rather than a curse. The other film that was my biggest letdown when I first saw it was, funnily enough, Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. Which I was very, very disappointed with when I first saw it, and we shall see whether I still am disappointed with it, or I've grown to appreciate it more, I guess, when we talk about it shortly.
Did you get to see it in the cinema?
What, Part 5?
Yeah.
No. I'm trying to think. I don't think I saw any of the Friday the 13th movies at cinema. I was too young.
Part 6 was the first one I ever saw in the cinema.
I think Part 6 was the last one to come out in the UK, and I was 17 when that came out, so I was too young. What was that?
That's what Axel thinks about the movie.
Yeah, he yawned.
A yawn, okay. Have we got another question, Joseph?
Yeah, this is actually Friday the 13th related. This is from Tom Virtuoso. That's an interesting name. And he says, how do you guys feel about the supposedly coming Friday the 13th television series? Well, let's see. They've been making a lot of TV series out of horror films. You have the From Dusk Till Dawn and Bates Motel. And I don't know. I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to do backstory again. I don't really care about the backstory. I mean, I don't care how dramatic and crazy a town Crystal Lake might have been, or if Pamela Voorhees, had marital problems, or if she, anything of that nature. All I want to see in a TV series, a slasher TV series, is a body count. And I think the last TV series, or the only TV series to really do that I loved, was Harper's Island. So I'm kind of mixed. If they can just make it a body count series, I would love it, because that's really what I want. I don't want, a drama. That's the problem I have with Bates Motel, is it's mostly soap opera. From Dusk Till Dawn is mostly, Poe-faced mythology. I want a body count, so I'm kind of half and half. I guess it's more of a we'll see.
What about you, Erik?
Yeah, I don't see how it will work as a TV series, because for me, one of the great things about the films is they're just so simple. The plots are just threadbare, and I just don't understand how that's going to work or grab an audience outside of Friday the 13th fans on television. As Justin said, or as Joseph said, sorry, they're going to probably have to make it more of a drama, which is probably going to take all the fun out of it, I think.
Axel obviously has something to say about this, doesn't he? He doesn't sound very happy about it.
Oh, he's being super annoying this morning.
Oh, he sounds very sweet.
He is. He's a sweet dog, but he's just aggravating. I think it's because I'm talking and he doesn't understand why I'm not looking at him if I'm talking, and he's the only one in the room.
Okay. Well, what do you and Axel think, Nathan?
Axel has only watched about 5 minutes of one of the Friday the 13th movies, so I'm not sure how he'd feel about the series. I actually am. I disagree with Joseph on this because I do want to see the backstory, and I don't know, like stuff like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw. I just the backstory on those don't matter to me because I don't know. I mean, I find those killers to be, I guess very scary. But I mean, I'm interested in Pamela Voorhees' backstory. I mean, she has a very interesting one. So I want to know, what they come up with and things like that. But I also want it to be a body count, and I don't want the body count part of it to take a back seat to drama. So,
I wonder if we'll see Joseph's plot point crop up, which is Pamela shagging Steve Christie.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
Yes, we will. I know it. I know it happened.
You'll be very satisfied when that does happen, though.
Yeah, I will praise the series if they take that route.
You'll feel vindicated.
Just like I'm sure you'll feel vindicated if they cheat, killing off Alice's character, and then they say, "Oh no, she's actually."
It's all a dream, like Dallas.
Yes, and that's exactly what that was. I'm just telling you guys because we can't have the Friday the 13th movie we want unless all the final girls are there.
Because you saw the way. I mean, we've talked about this before. Steve Christie's like, "Oh hi, yeah, they've done it. They have."
Lord.
Do you think they're going to actually pay that close attention? They're going to hire some hotshot young writers just to.
Why don't they hire people who know these movies? They always hire these people who are like, have seen them once, and they're like, okay, we'll just make a soap opera out of it.
Well, I don't really see how. I don't see how it can. I mean, I agree with all of you really, and especially with Erik, about how I can't see how they're going to make it work because the Friday the 13th movies are very formulaic, and the formula is a body count. And so how you do that on TV and how you do a backstory. I agree with Nathan. I wouldn't mind seeing the backstory. The only way I could see them doing it is doing the backstory through flashbacks while you've got a current killing spree going on. They're trying to find out the history of Jason in flashbacks. So it's the only way I can see it. Otherwise, you're going to have 4 or 5 episodes of Jason being teased at school and Mrs. Voorhees getting more and more irate and mad before any of the killings start.
I think like a 13-episode miniseries would be okay, but like something that's stretched out over like 5 or 6 seasons, I just don't understand how they're going to do that.
Well, can you imagine if they did that and then they did Friday the 13th Part 2 as the next season? So to have a whole episode around a campfire, wouldn't they? Or a whole episode doing arm wrestling. It just wouldn't make any sense, would it? So, but who knows? Because they're doing the Scream TV series, aren't they? I think because Hannibal, that's one I'm interested in watching, and I haven't seen yet. But I hear lots of good stuff about Hannibal, and it being very gory as well. Of course, it's the other thing about TV is how gory you can go. Do we know who's developing it? It's not AMC, is it?
No, it's I don't think they've pinpointed a network yet.
Right.
The thing about Hannibal is though it kind of lends itself to the TV world because it does involve a lot of drama. And I haven't seen it, but apparently from what I hear, it's on one of the major networks. I think NBC. So you'd be surprised at the gore they get away with, but apparently it's extremely graphic.
Well, they seem to be getting a lot, and that's on network TV, isn't it?
Yeah, it's NBC. It's like one of the major networks. 10 years ago, I don't think they would have gotten away with it, but apparently people are saying some of the gore and graphic murders they get away with on this is just shocking. I think it's a different time now, which is good. It's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing, but I guess it remains to be seen. I mean, I hope, in some ways, I'd rather that they'd just move the Friday the 13th franchise to direct to, DVD or whatever, or very small releases, because I think in a lot of ways, what you really want is just taking a lot of teenagers to summer camp and then killing them off in creative ways, don't you? And they're always looking for new kind of spins on it, like the new movie. All this talk about it being found footage, which could work, but it just sounds like a way of making it cheaper. So I don't know.
It's just, I guess it just remains to be seen.
Yeah. I mean, there will be more, Friday the 13th. And aren't they talking about Halloween 3 as being kind of on the cards now, isn't it?
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah. But, because Rob Zombie's got like a new film called 31 or something, isn't he? which has got like a clown face on the front of it. Have you seen that? Nobody knows.
Oh,
what
I've
it's
seen
about.
that.
Well, it's fitting. He is a clown.
Well, as long as he's not developing Halloween 3. But yes, well, these films will never go away. There's always going to be money to be made from them, isn't there? So I kind of guess it remains to be seen. But I don't think Friday the 13th is going to translate particularly well to the small screen. But that seems to be what's in vogue at the moment, isn't it? We talked about it last time about From Dusk Till Dawn and Fargo and all those kind of films that have been remade for TV.
I'll be happy to be proven wrong.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So anyway, that was our mass debate for this time. So if we'll probably get on to the other questions, won't we, at some point soon?
Yeah, keep sending those in.
Yes. So, okay, well, shall we get on to the featured presentation?
Let's do it.
It's showtime.
Jason is back, hockey mask and all. Well, actually, no, he's not, but according to this VHS, he says he's back. And he's up to his old maniacal tricks in Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. This time, he seems to have set his sights on the young patients at a secluded halfway house. And more than a few of his teen targets end up in half, in quarters. You name it, Jason does it. This is the 5th scary installment in the Friday the 13th saga. If you like the first 4 and think you're up to getting back on Jason's bloody trail, you'll love Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. And I do love Friday the 13th Part 5, A New Beginning. I think... maybe not to a few of you, but to a lot of people, this is a very controversial opinion. But Friday the 13th Part 5 is probably my favorite Friday the 13th film out of all of them. I think at its at its purest form, it is just a slasher movie. That's all it is. It's completely silly. It's got a huge body count. I like every single character. There's not one boring moment. There's no downtime. It's constant. Something's happening. There's a murder here, a murder there, wacky dialogue here, wacky dialogue there. I think the atmosphere is great. This little secluded mental place in the middle of nowhere. Lots of rain just crashing down in the finale. This extended chase sequence. This huge battle between quote-unquote Jason and Pam. With the chainsaw in the barn. It also employs a whodunit. I guess they want you to think it's Jason or perhaps maybe Tommy, which, getting into spoiler territory, it isn't either of those people. It's actually a disgruntled ambulance driver. So I kind of like that they tried to go a new direction. Your mileage may vary, and we'll just let Axel kind of run his course while... I'm talking. Anyway, I think Friday the 13th Part 5 is very sleazy. It's not at all really like the first 4 that preceded it. It's it reminds me of something someone saw, like all of the Friday the 13th films while they were on a cocaine binge and decided to make a slasher film with a guy in a hockey mask. But I think that's part of its charm. It's certainly the most entertaining of all the Friday the 13th films on a puerile level. But that doesn't bother me. I think, like I said, at its purest form, it is just a out and out slasher film. And I do have a lot more to say about it. But for now, I'll turn it over to Erik.
Yeah, well, as Justin was saying earlier, I was disappointed when I saw this first. So this was back in the mid to late 80s. I'd seen them in the sequence. I saw Jason Lives first, Part 6. Then I saw Final Chapter. Then I saw 1, 2, and 3. And then finally I saw Part 5. And it was, to me, the weakest of the series up until when I saw it at that stage. I mean, it felt really rushed. It felt really different, had a really different atmosphere to the other entries in the series. And there's a problem that I have with many slashers is there was way too many characters, I thought, and a lot of them appear on screen for a minute or two only to be killed off, and it just didn't feel like a Friday the 13th movie to me. But over the years, I've grown to love it. As you were saying, every time I watch it, it's like, there isn't a boring minute in this film. I mean, there is no downtime. I mean, it's a bit car crash entertainment in that it's not the most well-made film you'll ever see. But I mean, I have this love of I suppose WTF sequels, I suppose you could call them. Things like Exorcist 2, Jaws 3, Wes Craven's Hills of Ice Part 2. Things that a lot of people seem to hate and crap on, and I actually think they're really rather good. I think Justin alluded to this earlier, the highly realistic and deeply moving portrayal of mental illness in the film is a bit... well, let's just say it's not exactly terribly realistic, is it? I can't imagine many mental institutions giving sharp axes to their most violent youths that they have incarcerated. Well, not even incarcerated, are they? They're just living in a house in the woods. And I especially like the characterization of Violet is particularly realistic, because here's a young girl who's so tormented by her inner demons, and she's so messed up in her head that she actually puts a picture of Susie onto her bedroom wall. I mean, I was thinking, like, if only she had discovered Toya, then she would have found sanity, surely.
Or she would have gone the other way. I think this is a halfway house. Susie was showing her the light. Toya was just showing her darkness. That's why she left Toya behind in the loony bin.
Well, we'll never know, will we? Unless they do a prequel to Violet's character in the TV series, maybe
in the 5th season of the TV series.
Yes,
that's the season I'll watch. Actually,
yeah. I like the whodunit aspect as well, because I don't know if I'm the only one, but I'm not great at guessing killers, but they kind of make it painfully obvious in the new beginning who the killer is. Or is that just my imagination watching it in retrospect?
No, you're right.
Yeah, because the killer, as Joseph said, is Roy, the ambulance man. And when he first appears on screen, he stares suspiciously down the camera lens, and there's an ominous sound effect, by Harry Manfredini, and then it fades to black. And I can only think that their thinking was, okay, we'll make it really obvious that it's him, and then people will be thrown off the scent, because people will think, okay, it's too obvious, it can't be him. But then it does. Be any
more obvious unless they had like a kind of boing sound, and then like a big one of those big rubber fingers pointing at him, going, and a neon sign going, Roy is the killer.
It's him.
But I was reading a blog on last night. I think it's called Friday the 13th, the Ultimate Fan Site, or something like that. And they were saying, I can't imagine anyone would guess the killer, the identity in A New Beginning. The film is so skillful at, diverting your attention away from Roy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what? Surely this has to be a joke.
It's just in Roy, he just turns up and he's in the background kind of clearing away bodies, and he's the only character who he just shuffles on. And then sort of like he says, "You talking to me?" And and it's in retrospect, I can't remember. I saw it so long ago, but in retrospect, looking at it now, it couldn't be any more obvious.
I know. Really. That's what I was thinking. But my favourite characters in the film would be the more minor ones. The Tommy Jarvis character in this reminded me of Jamie Lee Curtis's Laurie Strode in Halloween 2, in that they both have to spend the film in kind of a traumatized state, a sort of a zen-like state, so it makes them difficult to connect with. But I do love characters like Lana, who's the diner waitress. I mean, if you've listened to the podcast over the years, you'll know that we all love her, I think, and she has so many quotable lines. I also love Violet, who's I wouldn't say she's a goth, she's more kind of new wave or something. Is she, Justin, being... that kind of dancing isn't something you would have done down your graveyard discos.
No, she's obviously a very confused young lady, wasn't she?
Yeah, because...
she'd have to be. She had a picture of Susie in her.
And Ethel, the lovable redneck with the foul mouth. Oh. And that, possibly Jason's mum. Justin's mum, even, sorry. What did Justin say?
He made some kind of noise.
Oh, I'm guessing that he must hate her, because I do remember hating her and Junior when I saw this first, but now they're just too far over the top that you have to love them. And the lack of a real Jason in the film didn't really bother me either. Well, it doesn't bother me now, I have to say. I mean, all the Friday the 13th had different actors playing Jason. He was a different shape, different size every time a new sequel came out. So this was, no different to me, to be honest. But I can completely understand why a lot of people hate the film and why they consider it to be the weakest in the series. But for me, that was true when I initially saw it. But it's so rough around the edges that that's what sort of lures me into it, I think.
Couple of points. Let's see. I don't get the whole, it's not Jason, it's a guy in a hockey mask. That's pretty much what Jason is. There's no personality to Jason. He just kills. So that doesn't bother me also. So I agree with you, Eric. I actually liked this kind of incarnation of Tommy Jarvis. I thought, is it John Shepard? Yeah, John Shepard. I thought, Considering he didn't really have much to work with, I thought he did a good job of playing Tormented. And I do agree with you, Eric. I think I love the Ethel character. I love every character in this movie. I mean, some of them are just so over the top and just bizarre. It's just, I like them, but we'll get more onto that. But Nathan, Friday the 13th Part 5.
I feel that Friday the 13th Part 5 also utilized some of the best ideas from the earlier sequels. You have, like, Roy is kind of a parallel to Pamela Voorhees. Like he's killing because of something awful happening to his child. You have the blonde final girl wielding the chainsaw. That's from Part 2. And then you have the Jake and Robin scene on the sofa where, she kind of laughs at him, but then later, right before she dies, she feels guilty about it. That's like Shelley and Vera in Part 3. You see, I've really put a lot of thought into this. But I really, really love Part 5. It is my favorite Friday the 13th sequel, right next to Part 2. I think they're both amazing in different ways. This one is, like you guys have already said, it's very entertaining. It's got a lot of memorable characters. They're all a lot of fun. It's very tongue-in-cheek. Some of the acting's like crazy over the top, and I do love Ethel and Junior. Like, I love when she answers the door with the guy who his character is. I mean, I know this movie has a lot of pointless characters, but this guy's character is so pointless. He shows up and he's like, I want to earn a meal. And she's like, all right, well, you clean, all the shit out of the chicken coop, and then I'll fill your stomach. And then he goes out there and then gets killed. That's just everybody on this movie. They show up to get killed. I love that she also felt the need to bring up the fact that she thought that guy was very ugly. And I'm like, really? I'm like, I think that if he would have survived, him and Ethel would have had something going eventually. I have that feeling. I think there was some tension there.
He's like the Steve Christie and she's the Pamela.
Yeah, like there was a lot of sexual tension going on there.
Yeah, you could sense. Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, hi, ma'am. I just want to earn a meal.
Yeah, you could sense the chemistry between them. Yeah.
Yes,
he looked like
a lot
Clint
of chemistry.
Eastwood. He looked just like Clint Eastwood.
Yes, of course he did, Joseph.
Yeah, we'll go with that. But I love the characters of Pete and Vinny in the beginning, who they're obviously they're supposed to be meeting up with some girls, but just the way they're dressed, it looks more like they're heading out to a gay leather bar. Mm. Especially with I love his like leather hat that he's wearing.
I don't know if he's going to score at this bar though, seeing that he's gone for a poo in the woods.
I know. Yeah, you're right.
It's not. It wasn't a look, was it? Back in 1985, that was.
Yeah, it's not.
No, well, it wasn't a look.
It's not.
Straight teenage boys, I wouldn't have thought, unless they're going for like a Depeche Mode style.
Yeah,
look.
but that was about 1981. Depeche Mode were dressing like that.
They look like greasers. I mean, they're totally out of place.
Yeah, which is another one of the endearing qualities of Part 5. Is just let's get two guys who look like they're from the 50s, make one of them go for a poo in the woods. It's just like it was
scared
made up
by a rabbit. Get scared by a rabbit.
Yeah. And then wipes his ass with a rabbit. Another connection to Part 2. No?
No, so you're finding connections now as well.
Yeah.
And we already know the connection to Part 4. The connection to Part 4 is Tommy. So, I mean, there are connections to all the previous ones. The director and writer put a lot of thought into that. And I give them kudos for that.
A lot of thought.
I love the cheesy sound effect that anytime somebody gets hit with a weapon, especially when Jake gets hit with a meat cleaver, like it barely swings down. I mean, it'd probably give him just a little tiny cut across his forehead if it really hit him. But it makes walk. Yeah. But I mean, there's plenty to say about this, but I'm going to stop for now. But I love it.
All right. Justin, let's hear it.
Right. Well, I think Friday the 13th Part 5 is a great cheesy slasher movie. I think it's very
He's changed his opinion.
But
rejoice.
Are you serious?
But I think it is an awful Friday the 13th movie.
Okay.
So I think as a standalone cheesy slasher movie, it's great. But compared to the other films that came before it, and even the films that came after it, I'd much rather watch Part 6 and Part 7 than Part 5. I like Part 5 is, I say, it's on its own. It's just that it's kind of, I don't know. It still sits with me, this disappointment of seeing Part 4, which I think is a great kind of movie that's got the cheesiness, but it's also kind of like a gothic intensity. And it's kind of like Danny Steinman. I don't think was really trying with it. It was a film. It feels like a film that was made with contempt. I mean, there's bits in it I like. I mean, I say on its own, the cheesiness is great. I think Melanie Kinnaman is a pretty rubbish final girl. She doesn't stand out at all. Tommy Jarvis,
really?
Yeah, I think she's rubbish.
I like her.
John Shepherd, I think, is a great Tommy Jarvis, but he hasn't got the he hasn't got the charm of Corey Feldman. So that's problematic. All of the other kids I mean, none of the Friday 13ths really spend any time building up any of their personality. But, none of them actually had any mental health problems, did they? Apart from Joey at the beginning and the guy who killed him. I mean, you don't even explain, or you don't see. There's no other reason for them to be there. I mean, I'm not expecting believability, of course. I think the film has a kind of cheap jack kind of intensity towards the end of it, but that's really just because you've got like a lightning machine, a rain machine, a barn, and a chase. It'd be pretty difficult to fuck that up, but it's I was hoping I'd warm to it a bit more, but I do still really, really hate Mama and Junior. I find them. I can see what they're doing, and I can see it's so over the top. But for me, it's an endurance test. Those characters, I find them irritating. Despite myself, I wish I didn't. I mean, I really like Demon and his girlfriend, and the whole "ooh baby," having the other shit. So, all the very fact that there's two characters having a shit in this film says something about it. And obviously, Danny Steinman was a porno director, and he made films like Savage Streets and other films like that. So he wasn't. I don't necessarily think he hated the Friday the 13th films, and I think he made the kind of film he wanted to make. I kind of think the Paramount probably just had such little regard for the franchise by that point. They just wanted to make money, that there was no quality control with it. Whether or not they could have made a better Friday the 13th movie at that point, I don't know. It is what it is, but mixed feelings. On one hand, I think it's a great trashy slasher movie. It's just not a very good Friday the 13th movie. So that's my little bombshell.
I guess that's praise enough. I mean, I would sort of agree. It's not a good Friday the 13th movie, but it is a wonderful slasher movie, I think. Let's see. Something I was going to say. Oh yeah, I'm glad that as much as I love the movie, I'm glad to have met at least 4 people from the film. So that's always going to be a memory for me. Who is your favorite character in the movie, Justin?
Well, it kind of depends. Depends why they would be my favourite. I say Melanie Kinnaman, I just don't think is a very memorable final girl, and she must be 72 if she's a day in the film as well. So well, she's a lovely lady, but she should be doing some gardening or something, or collecting a pension, not being a final girl in a Friday the 13th movie. Favourite character, I don't know. I like Demon. I think probably Demon's probably my favourite character. And because, especially his hair.
Fantastic hair.
Jerry curl, yeah. Nathan, who's your favorite character?
I was going to say Demon too. I love when she's shaking the bathroom, and I love his "you're gonna get it, bitch" line.
And Miguel Nunez, he's like that in real life. We met him. He is really like Demon in real life. that whole demeanor.
I get the impression that Danny Simon probably just said, to him,
be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself.
You know what? I do love Damon, but to be honest with you, I have to go against Justin here. I think Ethel is my favorite character. I really do. I think that she's just hysterical. Like her "I got a bomb on me" to the sheriff. I mean, it's just so ludicrous.
Erik, who's your favorite character?
Well, it'd have to be Violet for that dance. That dance. Oh, I love to do that dance.
I don't think mine's going to be a big shock to anyone.
Billy.
Billy. I love Bill. I don't know why. He reminds me of a friend of my dad's, Tony Davis. He looks and acts just like him, so maybe it's that. But there's something about Billy that just cracks me up. The whole cokehead. Hurry up, Lana! I want to go party. I had a shitty day at the mental health institute, and then poor guy he's such a tragic character. All he really wanted was just to cut loose from dealing with all these psychos, and then he gets an axe to the back of his head. I mean, that's not fair.
You can't do like favorite and not do our least favorite characters.
Least favorite. Let's see here. Mine would probably be Eddie or something. He just kind of annoyed me.
Eddie, but he's good looking.
The guy who steals the mask and then goes out and has sex with a.
Yeah, but he's good looking, so I'd forgive him for that.
My least favorite would be, I'd have to agree with Justin, sort of. My least favorite would be Junior, because in the build up to his decapitation by Meat Cleaver, he gets unbelievably shrill and a headache inducing. So, yeah, he'd been my most annoying.
I actually kind of like that, because he's like, you're like, shut up already, and then whack, he gets his head cut off, and you're like, yes. Mm-hmm. Justin, I know who your least favorite character is.
Well, yes, it's probably Junior as well. I think. It's great. His demise is good, and I did read an interview with him, and I think he's playing a character, and they kind of all I can see the benefits of it. I just thought, like, that scene, like Erik said, when he's riding round and around and around on that motorbike and screaming at the top of his lungs, "Mama, they hurt me!" It's kind of just go on and on and on. It's when he has his head chopped off. It's a relief rather than a shock.
Nathan, did you tell us who your least favorite was?
I like Junior a lot, but like right before he dies, he is so unbelievably annoying.
It was kind of cathartic when he got the piss beat out of him by Tommy.
I also thought the other ambulance driver was kind of an ass. Like, I love when he's covering Joey's body up and the girls are like upset and he calls them all pussies or something. Because I'm like, for all he knows, this could have been a dear friend of theirs who just got hacked up. I mean, he doesn't know. So he's like calling them names.
My favorite.
Yeah, but I could see that. I knew that was going to be your least favorite.
Eddie's not my least favorite. Joey's my least favorite.
Yeah, but you should like Joey, because if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have had a movie.
Okay, Joseph, I have a question for you. We had a listener email a few weeks back saying to increase the talk about boobies. So, whose boobies do you prefer, Lana, Tina, or Robin's?
Tina.
Thought you'd say that.
Yeah, I just think Debbie Sue Voorhees. I just think she's an incredibly beautiful woman who has very striking assets.
She does.
Yeah. I mean, like I've said in the past, if I can cater to our straight audience, which I don't think is it's probably about as minimal as the straight guy on here. I'm not a big boob person. I like them. I'm just not. I'm not going to sit there and compare one to the other. So, yeah. But hers, I like hers a lot. So,
did you think that Debbie Sue Voorhees was the best looking woman in the film aside from boobs?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I think she's a very attractive young lady. Now, see, I think Juliette Cummins is a very attractive woman, but not in this movie. I think she has awful hair in this movie.
Yes, I was going to say that. She's actually on screen now as I look at her.
Her mullet is just terrible.
I know.
She looked really, really good in Slumber Party Massacre 2 and Deadly Dreams, but she looks horrible here.
Now, I want a question for Erik and Justin. I'm wondering, like, because you both said you didn't like the final girl in this movie. Is it her age that you didn't like? I mean, what was it about her? Like, maybe in the final chase scene, did she?
It's her acting skills. I think. Sometimes her acting is fine, but sometimes she comes out with lines and they're horrible. Now, this might have been something to do with the conditions of the shoot itself, whereas, she mightn't have got a chance for a second take, blah blah blah. But I mean, there's a bit at the end where she's going, God, Reggie, God, and it's just dreadful. It's embarrassing.
I Well, I was going to say I don't hate her. I think she does a serviceable job. I just don't think she's very memorable. If you compare her to most of the other final girls, certainly from the first 3 movies, even Dana Kimmel makes more of an impression than she does. Don't you think?
No. See, I think she's very proactive with the chainsaw and the barn and everything. I think I like Dana Kimmel less because she spends the whole movie kind of just, oh, poor me. Whereas Pam, at least she doesn't say much.
Yeah, but what would be great if you had Dana Kimmel in part 5. That would have been funny. That would have made everything better.
I think that might have ruined it for me, maybe.
Really?
Well, no. I mean, it wouldn't, but I don't know. I think Pam fits in the Friday the 13th 5 universe.
I have to say, the first 5 final girls, I think they're all, I don't know, excellent. I don't know if it has to do with Friday the 13th just excellent at doing the chase scenes, but like I thought all of them were just amazing in their chase sequences. I kind of agree with Joe that I thought that, Chris from part 3 was kind of whiny leading up to her chase scene, but once the, final chase happens, I thought she did great.
Well, I think we're kind of split down the middle, aren't we?
Yeah.
As it were. So...
Can I just ask people about the VHS cover art? Because this is one of my favourites, the UK release for A New Beginning, which has the red light shining through the mask and kind of a silhouette of a young Tommy Jarvis in front of it. Do you prefer that one or the US one, which was kind of a different type of hockey mask on the front?
I like the UK one.
Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't use that mask in part 5. I mean, if they're going with a completely different, killer, why not use a completely different mask?
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird.
Well, the mask is a little different.
Yeah, it's got the blue marks rather than the red. So I think that was a clue.
I wonder why they did put a completely different mask on the cover of the US release.
That's the mask they use in Bloody Murder, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when they released it, because I remember seeing the adverts for it, and there's that kind of the tagline, something along the lines of "If Jason still haunts you, you're not alone," and it's got sort of picture of Tommy Jarvis. I'm not even sure if it is the same actor holding the machete in the photo.
It looks like a young Corey Feldman.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like him, does it? But they used that in that artwork for the American release for the cinema ads. Some of the ones I've seen.
Oh.
So because I think isn't the one sheet for part 5? Isn't it just fairly? It's just writing, isn't it?
I'm not 100% sure, actually.
Yeah, but I think
I have to say that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They might have done a preview one, like a teaser one. I think it says if Jason still haunts you, you're not alone.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Oh, I do know the one you mean. Yeah.
I have to say they brought back Corey Feldman for the beginning. He looks nothing like John Shepard at all.
No, I thought the beginning bit was great. I thought that was very suspenseful and done really well. But it was very different from the rest of the film. But then, wasn't it pretty much they kind of almost redid that almost in its entirety for part 6, didn't they? At the beginning of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, kind of. Mm-hmm.
They took that kind of whole resurrecting thing and actually made a movie out of it rather than it being a dream sequence.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Oh,
really? Well, that's
question.
very.
Who's that?
That's Ralph. Meow, meow.
Who is it? Oh, Stripes. Gosh, you got a farm going on there. I can't remember what my question. Oh yeah, when Demon has to run to the outhouse because of his goddamn enchiladas. Where were the sound effects? Like we just hear him going, well, we don't hear the.
He was finished by then.
The Harold in part 3 sound effects. Not that I wanted to hear them.
Yeah, we cut in after he's already dropped the deuce, as it were.
Right.
I think they were going for subtlety.
for what? For one tiny portion of the movie that went for subtlety.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but Demon's Fear was hysterical to me when he's like, "Oh God, Nita!" Like, I just think that whole scene in the outhouse is hysterical from the beginning to the end.
I actually think that's a fairly suspenseful little moment. I mean, that little thing being shot through the metal and it just hitting him in the leg, and he's trying to avoid it, and it just keeps hitting him no matter where he goes.
That scene was cut. The version I had up until the DVD releases in the late 90s, that you didn't see the spike going through his leg.
No, and that's actually painful. Just thinking
it is. It's one of the most visceral effects, I think, in the film. Yeah.
I think Lana getting an axe to the stomach would have been very painful too.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, that was quite a gory effect, wasn't it? Because most of the gore was trimmed quite mercilessly, wasn't it? I don't know. Do we know what the was there anything left of the gore? Was it because there's not any uncut releases, are there, of the film?
Well, there's Justin. I think I've told you this before, but when I was back in the alt horror days, someone sent me a VHS. I want to say it was Dutch, but I can't remember. Of the Friday the 13th Part 5, they said it was uncut, but to me it looked the same, except the strap scene where he gets the strap over his eyes on the tree and it squeezes his eyeballs. In this version that got sent to me, you actually see like stuff like oozing over the strap. But the quality was so bad. So I've been waiting to I've been wondering where that came from, if it's ever going to be actually properly released. So if anyone, I mean, I'm sure no one really knows, since apparently a lot of the footage is probably either lost or just sitting collecting dust somewhere. But I wonder where that came from. I mean, how did, if it was from the Dutch or the Netherlands or whatever, where did they get it? Is it still available over there? Is it on any official release? Because this looks like it was recorded off some like Dutch TV show or something, or TV station. But yeah,
I think they tend to, when they re-release these films, they tend to kind of just take whatever the version they've been using in the States. So when they put out like a DVD release of Friday 13th Part 5, apart from unless there's any censorship cuts in the UK, which have probably all been waived now, aren't they? I don't think any of the films are cut in the UK anymore. So just basically using whatever's the American version, apart from originally Part 1 was more uncut in the UK than it was in the States. Up until the recent releases, but it seemed like Part 5, there's probably a lot more to it, like the killing of the Leather Boys at the beginning. I mean, that the one effect they leave in is that kind of the light going into one of their mouths, the torch, which looks incredibly phony, which is probably why they left it in, because it just looks like, I don't know, a shot mannequin with a torch shoved inside their gob.
Yeah. I actually on the ebook version of Crystal Lake Memories, they have a complete memo that Frank Mancuso was sent from the MPAA when it was initially submitted to them, which is early February 1985, and there are a lot of scenes that are highlighted as saying a strong X, and they had to be trimmed down. So let's see, the two boys, boy killed with flare was told. The throat cut of the other greaser had to have an optical zoom put on it. So that's why the camera sort of zooms in and you don't actually see the throat cut. In the original version you did, but they put an optical zoom on it, and the same with what's his name being axed in the back, Joey. So they were told. I mean, from what I can get from this memo is that the original version was very strong indeed, and I'd love to see that version. Because the more I read into it, the more I was like, God, this would be even more of a dream than getting an uncut Friday the 13th Part 2. Possibly.
Or there is an argument that the more cut out of Part 5 would be better than more put in.
Not for me, it wouldn't.
No, I know.
You have to give Friday the 13th Part 5 credit. At least it has a huge body count and some inventive death scenes.
And it has a magic pink jumper. No? Pam's pink sweater when she's running through the woods keeps appearing and disappearing at will in one of the major continuity flubs from the series.
I mean, what do you think about the way it ended? Because obviously you had like basically a kind of, not a gazillion false endings, but I mean, people who haven't, we've already spoilt it. That was Roy, it was a killer, and obviously at the end he falls out onto spikes, which again, it was kind of like, the direction wasn't very subtle about what was going to happen, because it was foreshadowed, wasn't it?
Yes.
Before that happens in a major way. And when he lands, then Roy looks very serene, doesn't he, with his hockey mask has pinged off helpfully, and he's lying there with his kind of the wraparound of the back of Jason's head. It's just open, as Roy looking like he's having a little nap.
I know. I always think that it was a lot of trouble to go to. Like, why didn't he just put on a hockey mask? Why did he have to go for the bald cap and all that as well? I mean, also, it looks good.
Why, unless he was just driven mad? I mean, I can understand in some ways that he would have a grudge against the kids at the Unger Institute, but then why killing other people who had nothing to do with it? Like, for instance, the two Lever boys. And Joey, and I mean, why, what did they have to do with the killing of his son?
Yeah, and the guy who kills the son gets away with it. Well, he doesn't get away with it. He's sent to prison, obviously, but he doesn't get killed.
I think that's the good irony in this film, is that the one person who actually started all this actually ends up living.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the Lover Boys did say, like, something about the freak that got killed at the nut house, so they were bad mouthing his son.
And one of them used the C word, which deserves to be killed, I think.
Those cunts can't wait all night.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, it was, but also, of course, that was the one ending, and then you go to the hospital, and then you have Tommy hallucinating, seeing Jason, don't you? And then
I think that's a very kind of eerie ending when he comes out from the door and he's holding the knife and it zooms in on his eyes.
What do you guys think happened?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose he killed... Oh, no, well, because part 6 would indicate that he didn't kill.
Yeah, I guess he didn't kill her.
Part 6, I mean, not to get into part 6, because I'm sure we will eventually, but part 6, they kind of make you think he spent more time there, so I'm assuming that Pam saw him, and then she realized, he was still kind of mentally disturbed, so they put him back in the nut house until he got better, and then he was released.
Yeah, that's probably what happened.
I don't know if you can hear it, but someone's doing Pam outside my window.
Yes, I can hear kind of a strimmer or something.
Yeah, it's or a chainsaw. Someone's battling. Someone dressed as Jason Voorhees. One of the cats got a hockey mask on, and another cat is chasing with a chainsaw. That'd be interesting to see. But yeah. So at the end, it was kind of like basically doing the same, pretty much the same thing as the Halloween franchise, didn't it, with part 4?
With part 4, yeah.
That handing on the mantle of evil to...
And both movies kind of dropped it.
Yes.
The next sequel.
But I suppose it could say it ends kind of in the same way as the final chapter as well, with an ominous-looking Tommy Jarvis.
Yes, who then goes
so
that
was their second promise, that Tommy was going to be the killer, and broke it twice.
Part 6 is more like third time's the charm. Nope, we'll forget that as well.
I mean, I don't have a problem with them resurrecting Jason, obviously, because it's not, I know they don't do it in this, but I think that was probably one of the mistakes they made. They probably would have been better off resurrecting Jason, I think. I mean, I quite like the idea that they went down a whole whodunit. I mean, I would love to... I think I was so horrified watching this film after being so excited after watching all of the others that I can't even remember if I was surprised that it was a whodunit. But when people attack these films and say, well, they're just stupid, I mean, and there's endless kind of remakes, but I mean, you've got... I mean, how many times do you have to see Dracula or Frankenstein? There's a new Frankenstein has come out or came out, and obviously had Dracula on TV recently. I mean, so it's just resurrecting Jason, I don't think is a bad thing. The film shouldn't be criticised necessarily for it, because it's no less kind of adventurous than the endless retellings of, Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman, really. And Godzilla.
Exactly.
Godzilla for that matter.
I agree.
So
there's room for everything. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, of course.
Unless you're on the podcast and you have to watch it eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we love watching these movies, really.
Yeah. Well,
for the most part.
Yeah.
I hope you guys remember that.
What kind of background have we got for this movie? Who would like to go first?
I've got only one thing.
Okay.
And it is, speaking of stuff that was cut out of the film, the sex scene, between Eddie and Tina was originally a lot longer than it is in the finished film. Because if you notice, in the film now, they have sex for, 15 seconds?
Yeah, that's quite
and
realistic.
then they're done.
Yeah.
So,
These
you
are
know, the
preemie.
poor Eddie, like originally he did last a lot longer, but in the movie toned it down and then, you know, made it look like he was quick draw.
Well, this would be a good time, Justin, to play the clip I sent you. This is the editor of the film, Bruce Green. This was his first assignment as editor. He'd been an assistant editor on big Hollywood blockbusters before this, and this was his horrified response when he saw the dailies from the sex scene.
In the background, off screen, is Danny Steinman, the director, yelling, "Come on, fuck her harder. Come on, grab her tits, grab her pussy, grab her ass." And I'm sitting there like dying. And I'm not a prudish guy. And I turned to Frank, who looked just as dumbstruck as I did. And I said, "What do you want me to do with this stuff?" And he put his arms around me and he said, "Bruce, make it look like a Pepsi commercial."
Okay, so they obviously realised they'd made a mistake hiring Danny Steinman quite early on, I think, by the sounds of it. And I apologise for the appalling language in that clip.
Yes.
It's kind of weird that,
Potty
I mean,
mouth.
it's kind of weird hearing that kind of story. I mean, I met Danny before he died. He seemed like a really sweet man. Maybe he just changed in his older age, but it's just strange.
Okay, I have some background as well. This was covered in Fangoria issue 44 back in 1985, and Steve Manassian had announced that Danny Steinman was going to direct 2 features for him. Well, one was going to be A New Beginning, and the other one was supposed to be Last House on the Left Part 2. It was going to be called Beyond the Last House on the Left, and it was going to bring back the character Krug, played by David Hess, as the ringleader of the band of sadists. He returns in the sequel, now making his home on an isolated island with a group of reprobate friends. Krug will once more be played by David Hess. In what Steinman describes as a Deliverance-style situation, a group of kids on a rafting trip get lost and wind up on Krug's island. Grisly terror no doubt awaits them. But sadly, that sequel never happened. Can you imagine Last House on the Left a sequel done by the director of A New Beginning?
Yes.
That would be something.
I wish they would have done it.
I would have watched it, yeah.
Yeah. Principal photography for New Beginning began in September 1984 in California. The budget was a little over $2 million. It was filmed under the pseudonym Repetition, which is the track title taken from David Bowie's 1979 album Lodger. Other Friday the 13th used Bowie songs as well as filming titles. Part 3 was Crystal Japan. Part 6 was Aladdin Sane. Part 8 was Ashes to Ashes. Danny Steinman actually says I think it's in Crystal Lake Memories, he says that apparently they had a different actor cast as Tommy, and he says if we'd gone with the Tommy we'd originally settled on, the film would have been unreleasable. So it got me thinking, I wonder who this actor could have been, and I can only assume it was Mahmood from Savage Water.
Yes.
Shavar Ross was Dudley in Different Strokes. He plays Reggie the Reckless in A New Beginning. His parents had no problem with him being in a Friday the 13th movie, but they did have a problem with him using swear words, which is why he says freaking A lot instead of fucking A, which is what the script originally asked him to say. Tiffany Helm, Justin, you'll be glad to hear she was a Susie fan, and it was her idea to sort of put Susie in there. I don't know if it was her idea to put the Susie poster up, but she was a big Susie fan, and that influenced the look in the film. If you'll notice on her bedroom, she has kind of an eclectic taste. Justin, I don't know if this would ring true with goths everywhere, but are Susie fans also into Billy Idol, Madonna, the Alan Parsons Project, and A Flock of Seagulls?
No, and not really Annie and Lennox.
Annie and Lennox either, yeah.
As well. That's a bit odd.
Well, maybe because she was in this kind of halfway house, she had limited resource. She had to just get whatever posters she could find. You know, she couldn't get down to the shop that often, probably. Juliette Cummings, who plays Robin, she was a budding gymnast, but because the US boycotted the 1980 Olympics, you know, that ruined her Olympic dream, so she took up acting instead. Bob DeSimone, who plays Billy, or DeSimone, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. He said there was a lot of cocaine use on the set. And
I can see that.
But he said that Danny Steinman apparently took a lot of it and was quite volatile on the set at times. Although in the ebook version of Crystal Lake Memories, Danny Steinman comes back on that comment and he says that that his recollections of A New Beginning are not ones that was a troubled production. He thought everything came in on time, under budget, and he recalls exchanging gifts with the cast at the end of filming, so he remembers it as quite a happy shoot, whereas other people tend to disagree. He also has, Danny Steinman has very harsh words to say about Dick Wiand. Is that how you pronounce his name? Who plays Roy, the ambulance man. He says he's a complete fucking asshole. He was always complaining about the script that we shot. He complained about the conditions. He was complaining that everyone was out to get him. And then I met him at a 2009 convention, and he was all smiles, saying he had been earning a nice living today going to Friday the 13th conventions. People, do not give this low-life piece of shit a dime for an autograph, is what Danny Steinman had to say about it.
Aww.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. He admits he's a big fan of tits as well, which you can see kind of from the movie. Jerry Pavlon is convinced. He plays, what's the character's name with the stutter? Jake. He plays Jake, and he's convinced the film is a deliberate send-up of the genre with its many ludicrous moments. He says it's all deliberate. He says, quote, that Danny was sending up the genre without having to do what Scream does, which is to tell everybody in the grossest possible terms that they're making fun of it. That really is for 9-year-olds. I think in terms of that blend of horror and absurd comedy, Part 5 is still not appreciated nor understood. Would anyone agree with that statement? That was a deliberate mix of comedy and horror?
I don't think it's deliberate.
No, neither do I. I think it's accidental, but...
Hearing all these stories about Danny Steinman, I wonder if I met him on his deathbed or something, because he sounds like an asshole.
Well, he died in 2012. Yeah. I don't know, have any of you listened to the audio commentary on the Friday the 13th Part 5 Deluxe Edition that came out maybe 4 or 5 years ago?
No.
It's practically unlistenable because he just sits there sort of, and he's just making sarcastic comments. He doesn't give any real information about the film. He's on it with Shavar Ross and John Shepard, but I mean it's so lacking in information that it's really not an essential listen.
No, wait, I have heard that. I remember.
Yeah. The film opened on March 22nd, 1985, which means that, 29 years ago. It made $8 million in its first 3 days. It ended up with $21.9 million in total, which isn't bad, but apparently bad word of mouth meant it fell out of the box office top 10 after only 3 weeks. Tiffany Helm went to see the film with her friend on opening night, and they both dropped acid and watched it, which I'd say was quite an experience. And Shavar Ross went on opening night with Corey Feldman. Apparently they were going out at the time. No? Nobody believe that? No. No, he did. No, he did go out. He did go to the film with Corey Feldman, but not because they were lovers, because they'd done some commercials together and they were friends. Yeah, I was just trying to be controversial.
You were being very controversial,
That's
Erik.
been very controversial.
Naughty Erik.
I know. The script was adapted from Martin Kitrosser's original draft for Friday the 13th Part 3, which had Ginny returning and ending up in a mental home. So that's why he gets a screenwriter's credit on Part 5. And if you notice, there's kind of similarities. There's a couple of similarities between 3 and 5 that Nathan didn't mention earlier, but I'm sure you noticed. One is a character in an outhouse while somebody outside is shaking the outhouse.
There you go.
And the other one is, another one is a big finale in a barn. Let's see, what else do I have here? Oh yeah, one thing I didn't realize until I was reading the book again is that the Lana and Billy scene was originally written for the final chapter. And it was one of the books I have actually says it was shot for the final chapter, but I don't think that's true. But it was retooled for Part 5 almost verbatim from Barry Cohen's script for Part 4. This is one I found interesting as well. The role of Tina, eventually played by Debbie Sue Voorhees. Anyone find this piece of information about what actress went up for that role?
Darcy DeMoss.
Yes.
Yeah,
Darcy. Yeah. Well, there was actually another actress we all know and love, Gina Gershon from Showgirls, also auditioned for Tina.
Okay.
Which would have been fun. Yeah,
that would have been fun. Yeah.
Yeah. That's all. Oh, I have one other thing is that there was an alternate death scene apparently filmed for Roy where he's actually decapitated and his head rolls down some stairs or something like that, because there is images of a severed Roy head, but it was obviously not used, and they used the dummy falling onto the spiky thing, whatever that spiky thing is. I don't know. It's some kind of plow.
It's like for hay. Like they set bales of hay on it and it keeps it like stable.
All right.
It's just the kind of thing you leave lying around in a mental health facility, isn't it?
It is.
Well, I don't think they were at the mental health facility, were they? They were at some barn.
No, that was part of the... Oh.
Well, it's near it, wasn't it? Because she ran out of the house and then ran to the barn.
I never even thought about that aspect. Is that part?
See, I thought they were far away from the mental health thing. I thought they ran way through the woods and then someone else's barn.
Well, whoever it was, they left their keys in the ignition of the tractor, which was quite useful, I suppose. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think Melanie Kinnaman was running away from her agent. I would have thought by that point.
And her horrible pink sweater. Okay, that's all I have. I have a few little reviews from Francoria at the time as well, but I'll hand over to you for the moment, Joseph.
Well, I don't have anything because I never look up anything on Friday the 13th because for me it's like all these books and DVDs have
exactly, yeah.
So I just talk about the movie. So
Justin.
Well, same for me. But so I looked for stuff that I hadn't seen anywhere else, and I found a couple of things that I'd not seen anywhere else. One was that you mentioned, Erik, that opened in March 1985, but it had the distinction of being the highest opener so far that year. One of the things I found quite funny was that apparently the Boston transport system complained about this film because it said when kids went to see Friday the 13th Part 5, they were really unruly and socially disruptive when they were using the Boston MTA, the public transport system in and around Boston. So I thought it was quite funny. The film was cut in Canada. The Ontario Censor Board made 13 cuts, funnily enough, for a total of 30 seconds were cut out. So presumably, I don't know if that was cuts to the original cut that was put forward or extra cuts to the American release. A few other bits. I found some... there was an interview, which I thought was quite funny, with... the Marco St. John, who plays the sheriff in the film, who in real life was a bit of a lovey because he was I've found his interview in Syracuse. Is it Syracuse? Syracuse, where he was based, and he was also in a play at the time, the Friday the 13th, called The Passion, that was playing when the film came out. When he made the film, he said he'd not seen any of the Friday the 13th before, but he says until a couple of days ago, the Grayling performer had never seen any of the 4 Friday the 13th movies, not even his own. With no notice, he took fellow stage cast member Christian Larkin, to also uninitiated to the horror string, to the Hollywood Theatre. It didn't bother him that he wasn't recognised, although he says Larkin was properly frightened. It didn't deter them from eating an Italian dinner after the movie. So fascinating stuff there for you. But he says his personal review, it's not particularly good. I understand how these movies work from an elemental force. They use shamefully emotional tricks to get you. They are an artifact of our culture, special unto themselves. The one I thought was really good is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I remember that scared me out of my wits. So that was him talking about it. Siskel, as in Ebert and Siskel, reviewed the film when it came out, and as you can imagine, it wasn't a glowing review. Although he gave it. He actually gave it 1 star, and he also reviewed Porky's Part 3 at the same time and gave that no star. So he actually preferred Friday the 13th Part 5 to Porky's Part 3. What he said, Gene Siskel said, where is it? It says, it's the same style killer, a guy wearing a hockey mask and wielding machete, still haunts a bunch of youngsters, mostly inmates of a mental hospital. It says stabbings and slashing through the heart, leg, forehead and mouth mount by the dozen. And a young woman in a wet shirt is hunted for the longest time. Now, presumably he's talking about the Melanie Kinnaman at the end, isn't it? So I don't know how he came to the conclusion she was young, but obviously did. So,
you really have a problem with her age.
I know. Sorry, she's my Jamie Lee Curtis.
She looks 30, like late 30s to me.
Well, okay. Well, fair enough. It's not her problem, but yeah. And he just.
But she has had some major surgery done. If you've watched her in the Crystal Lake Memories documentary.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he goes on to say, and this is one of they had the bee in their bonnet, him and Ebert and Siskel, about the Friday the 13th movies and how they spent an inordinate amount of time sort of, scaring and focusing on terrorising women. But actually, when you watch the Friday 13th films, they're pretty much equal opportunity films, aren't they? As far as the killings don't tend to be any more gloating, particularly over women being killed than men. They tend to be partly to do with the censorship. They're quite quick and to the point, quite literally. But he says, it goes on to say the crowd at the Friday the 13th films is always a treat, obviously with the emphasis on the irony here. He says, at an afternoon show in upscale Chicago, a 200-pound male teenager kept shouting, kill her, as a young woman crawled helplessly on the ground away from the maniac with a knife. He goes on to say there is little suspense in the film. The identity of the killer is heavily foreshadowed early on with a baroque musical cue and a couple of menacing glances. Then goes on, the false endings, which have become the standard in the genre ever since Carrie, reach laughable proportions here because, yes, there will be a 6th film in the series next year. Have a nice day, said Gene Siskel. So there was that, and I think there was, if you're not too bored of it, there was another review here, very short one by Vincent Canby in the New York Times. And he just says the film is the 5th in the series of phenomenally profitable slash-and-hack horror films. The principal appeal of these movies is the spectacle of a new, fresh-faced Hollywood actors, most of whom are in their early 20s, though they play teenagers, apart from Melanie Kinnaman, obviously, as they get chopped up by a masked fiend who is most of the time uses machete. This one, set in a bucolic halfway house for disturbed children, is not entirely without its grand guignol humour, but it appears to have been paced by a metronome, a joke followed by a murder, followed by a joke, followed by a murder, until all but one of the featured players have been exterminated. It's worth recognising only as an artefact of our culture. So as you can imagine, it wasn't particularly well received, I don't think, when the film came out. But I don't think any of the Friday 13th really were. So, and it was also probably the slow decline of box office fortune. Although it's still, like you said, Erik, it made a very healthy profit, didn't it, on like a $2 million outlay. So you can see why, much to their embarrassment, Paramount was still happy to keep on milking the bloody cash cow that was Friday the 13th films. For a few more yet. So that's all the background I've got on the film, I think.
Okay, I got another piece of background.
Oh, what? Go ahead.
If any of you have ever seen the movie Reform School Girls, you will notice that move it, Whitey. Sorry, my cat was on the keyboard. You'll notice that Tiffany Helm, who plays Violet, plays one of 2 lesbian bullies in Reform School Girls, and the other bully is Darcy DeMoss from Part 6.
I have seen Reform School Girls. Mm-hmm.
They are together.
Yes. And it's got that singer. What's the name of that?
Wendy Williams.
Yes. Yeah. She looks frightening in that film.
What's funny is in that film she's supposed to be a teenager because they're in reform school.
Well, now
she's like 50.
Yeah, Justin, if you had a problem with Melanie Kinnaman's age, wait till you see Reform School Girls.
I know, is it Wendy O. Williams? She was in the Plasmatics, wasn't she?
That's it,
yes. She was, she was apparently a lovely woman in real life.
She makes a scary inmate in Reform School Girls, I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Yes, she's the bad guy.
Bad girl.
Okay, well, I've got 2. These are reader reviews that were sent into Fangoria in their August 1985 issue. Mike Crawford said, I went to opening night, bought popcorn, snagged...
Michael Crawford, sorry, not from Some Others Do Have 'Em.
No, I doubted it was that Michael Crawford. Yes. Okay. I didn't even make that connection when I was researching this. I went to opening night, bought popcorn, snagged good seats, and sat through the most heinous, plotless ordeal I've ever witnessed in a movie theatre. Where was the suspense? Where was Crystal Lake? Who in the name of God was the killer? A paramedic? And to put the icing on this putrid cake, the effects reminded me of the Super 8 films my friends and I used to make. Haunted by the memory of Jason, I'm haunted by the memory of the $5 I shelled out for this worthless piece of crap. So Mike Crawford wasn't impressed. On the plus side, Kevin Lindenmuth was impressed. He said the film departed from its last two clones in actually having a good plot, the psychological problems of a former victim, along with several interesting twists in the familiar story. These improvements in Friday the 13th's score-drenched formula made the film resemble Psycho 2 more than the final chapter. I was pleased this wasn't just another slice and dice movie. The characters were not lifeless meat to be methodically mutilated in unique ways, but genuine people the audience was made to care for. It is indeed a new beginning for this continuing series, a much better beginning, in fact. Now, as much as I like A New Beginning, I don't think I could agree with the way he praises the film there.
I think the characters are there
slice.
for body count.
Yes, and it is just another slice and dice movie. But each to their own. Each to their own. Yeah.
I have another piece of background I forgot about. Actually, I've probably talked about this before. A long time ago on the Diabolical Dominion, I believe it was, I was going to interview Dominic Braskia.
Oh, yes.
And I basically, one of my questions was like, you think, it was like a kind of a joke question. I told him, I was like, do you think Joey would still be alive if he didn't try to share his chocolate bar with Vic? And this really upset Dominic for some unknown reason. He's like, I see what you're trying to do. You're trying to make fun of me, and I don't think it's going to work. And he just went off on this huge tangent, and I was like, okay, settle down. So the interview never really happened. He just refused to answer any more questions.
Oh, dear.
You were one of those, like, reviewers that were trying to get their subjects upset.
No. I mean, most of the questions I asked him were...
You're a shock jock, Joseph.
Yes, you are.
And then I threw in like a little joke question. It was not directed towards his proportions. I just thought it was an interesting, amusing psychological question, and he just took it completely the wrong way.
I'm surprised that Robin and Violet didn't kill him for putting chocolate all over their...
Oh, I'd have been so mad at him over that. Do you remember the reviewer that was kind of a shock jock reviewer of slasher celebrities, Joseph? Because he interviewed Felissa Rose, and for some reason I always remember one of his questions was, have you seen the Sleepaway Camp sequels? And if you have, did it make you hate Pamela Springsteen more than you already do? Like he asked celebrities questions like that. Like he was like pretty much saying, well, I know you already hate her for playing your character, so do you hate her more than you did before? Because her response was like, I don't hate her, with a bunch of exclamation points. Like she was getting very annoyed at his questions.
I don't remember that guy.
Yeah, he interviewed several, and he even put up a list, and it was interesting because like celebrities that agreed to do an interview, but then after reading his questions refused. He put up a list. It was like his wall of shame.
But sometimes you have to be very careful with these people, because a lot of them, I imagine, aren't terribly proud of some of these films.
No.
And I would not, I've interviewed people before, and I always try to be as pleasant as possible. I think he just loved the shock value of it. I don't know. It made for some fairly entertaining interviews, though. I have to say that.
See, I'd have no shame, because I would embrace these movies like a lot of these people who go to conventions to kind of cash in on it, like Shavara Ross and Miguel Nunez. They actually embrace it. I would do the same. I wouldn't be ashamed of it. I'd say, yeah, I had a lot of fun. It's a dumb movie, but it was fun.
Who are the four people you've met from this movie, by the way? I know you Dominic Braskia.
No, I haven't met him. I just talked to him via like email or whatever. I met Miguel Nunez, Shavar Ross, Melly Kinnaman, and Danny Steinman. And I'm trying to think if there's anyone else, but I don't think so.
We almost met Roy once, but the line was kind of long, actually. I think.
Yeah, I was going to meet him, but his line was really long.
Was Melody Kinnaman on her deathbed?
No, she was actually very, very lovely.
I'm sure she was.
She does come across as nice on Crystal Memories, but she has had a lot of plastic surgery done.
She was. I mean, she sat and talked to us forever.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. I think she was just one of those people that had no idea how popular these movies really are.
That's pretty much what we asked her. I mean, we basically was like, did you have any idea that it would become this popular? And she's like, no, now I'm going to all these conventions and people love it and people love me. It's so humbling and I love doing it and I'm having a great time here. And she like posed with us, hugged us, made suggestions.
I got a picture with her on my Facebook page.
She's like, well, I like this picture. You should get this one, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, she was awesome. I liked her.
And then
actually, I have to say, out of all the Friday the 13th final girls that we've met, they've all been amazing.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah. We've met. Let's see. We've met 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We didn't meet anyone. I met Tommy from 6. 7. We didn't meet.
Justin's jealous.
Hey, we met Laura Park Lincoln from 7.
We did. Yeah, we met her.
We got the soundbite from her.
I met the girl from Part 8. So I've met them all through all Part 8. Yeah.
But we haven't met Megan from Part 6 though.
No. Well, I met Tommy. So.
Yeah, I think she's gone into hiding. I think she appeared on Crystal Lake Memories documentary, but she said that was it for her and Friday the 13th.
Man, she's missing a great opportunity at making a lot of money.
Unless she married somebody rich.
Yeah.
Didn't Debbie Sue Voorhees? Did we talk about this? Didn't she get into trouble where she works as a teacher?
Yeah.
What was that? I don't.
She was working as a teacher, and the kids found out she was in Friday the 13th, Part 5. And not only found out that, but they also know she got out of her wobblers. So yeah, I think she was. I think she was forced to leave rather than actually sacked.
Which
but,
again,
because we spoke to her a few years ago.
If you're a teacher, they can't fire you if you have tenure. They have to discuss it with a committee. So it sounds like she got forced out.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of goes to show why some people don't necessarily want to be associated, and I imagine that's especially for the women who did nudity in some of these films. That if they've got different lives now, then it could be embarrassing for them, and especially in a kind of a new conservative era. In some parts of the States, that it's kind of seen as little more than pornography, really, isn't it? Getting you.
I wouldn't want to work at a job that would want to shame me for my past like that.
No, but there's a lot of people sticks up their asses, aren't there?
Yeah, I agree.
Especially in this area that Joseph and I live in.
Your current workplace, Justin, has no problem with your porn past, do they?
They have a problem with his goth past, probably.
I haven't got one, Eric. But I imagine the photos we've seen of you, Eric. I imagine you've had quite a large opening, didn't you?
If any of us has a porn past, it'd be you.
Yeah.
Why am I being bullied all of a sudden?
Because
you're being bullied.
You sent a horrible picture that I thought was you, and you said later it was Bob Hoskins, but I thought it was you.
No, it was Bob Hoskins. It was just a little memories of him after he died.
Eric has sent us nude photos of himself.
Well, they've been masked.
They weren't masked. You could tell it was you.
Yeah, I know, but you couldn't see the bits.
I saw your ass.
He posed tastefully in those pictures, just enough where you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, well,
his ass.
You didn't.
You did.
It was covered. I photoshopped it out.
You're lying.
So, listeners, Eric sent us recently a photo of Bob Hoskins. It looked like he dropped Mint Imperials all over his lap.
Yes. Yes.
I wasn't.
And then you
Bob
sent us
Hoskins,
a picture of Jensen Ackles.
Sorry?
You sent us a picture then of Jensen Ackles.
Well, that was okay.
Yeah, but that was in response to you, Eric.
Anyway, Justin, does your workplace have a problem with your goth past? Do they know you were a goth?
Well, no.
Oh, whoa. I think that somebody should inform them.
Well,
they have a right to know.
Okay.
Do they know that you're a crazy horror fanatic?
Yes.
They might think you're a killer.
No. Well, they know that I like horror movies. What about where you work, Eric?
They
know I like horror movies. Completely.
My boss loves horror movies, so I'm good.
That's all right. Yeah.
I was the subject of a little documentary on the radio station I work at, actually, about 2 years ago, talking about cheesy horror movies.
Well, that's good. Well, they haven't done anything on your porn past.
No, nothing about Anal Paprika 7. Oops. I wasn't in that film.
No, you just did the fluffing.
I never understand the title. Are they putting paprika in somebody? Is that why it's called that?
Well, apparently there was a film called Paprika or something, and it was a variation of that, an anal variation.
Right, an anal version. Yeah.
Yes. Apparently, I haven't seen it. Not part 7, anyway.
Yes. Surely it would burn.
I would imagine so, wouldn't it? I can't imagine why anyone would do that on purpose.
Maybe it's like a fetish thing.
Anal Paprika 7, The Ring of Fire.
Yes.
There you go.
Directed by Danny Steinman.
Probably, yes. Can you imagine? It'd be more paprika, more ring.
Yes. Grab the paprika. Yeah.
So, anyway, well, let's get back to Friday the 13th Part 5 before we embarrass ourselves anymore, Eric. So, Eric, actually, do you have a joke of the week?
Oh, I do have a joke of the week. Oh, let me retrieve it here. Yes. It's particularly brilliant this week. If I can find it.
Oh,
okay.
Eric.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, why did Violet hate it when Joey used to try and grab her attention by raising his hand and moving it side to side in a very old-fashioned way? Because she only liked new wave. What was that?
Deflating balloon. So I'm trying to come up with new ones each time, Eric, but I think
okay,
you
I have a second one that
time.
you will laugh at. What was Billy's favourite band? Banana Lana.
That one was better.
Yeah, that's a good one, actually.
Ooh, those goddamn enchiladas.
Oh, Eric.
Oh, Eric.
I know.
So...
It's still going.
Right, okay. Well, let's move on to feedback because...
Well, no, can I just ask...
Okay.
Am I the only one who thinks that Violet's dance is the best thing ever, no?
It's amazing.
Justin?
And one thing about... Well, I'll tell you in a second.
Well, I wouldn't say it's the best thing ever, but I think it's good. Well, we didn't actually talk about her original demise, did we?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I was going to say before we get into that, Eric, you brought up her dancing. I actually like that whole scene where he grabs the doorknob and you see the blood on his hand and he slowly opens the door to her dancing. I think that's a great scene.
Well, I like the shot when it's his legs and you see her dancing, up ahead. You know what shot I'm talking about?
Although she turns around and he's gone. Where did he hide?
Behind the
more
wardrobe.
posters? Behind more posters, or
behind the wardrobe? No,
there was a wardrobe there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, but didn't she? Because it looks like when you see her being killed, because originally I think it was shot, wasn't it? That she gets a machete up her
Lulu,
doesn't she?
Yeah.
And it looks like it actually when you see it, it looks like that's what's happened, doesn't it? But there was a shot, isn't there, I think in Crystal Lake Memories, of her with a bloody stain around her crotch area.
Yes. And
So-
she's laughing, thinking, oh my God.
Yes.
If you watch the new version where they actually stab her in the stomach, you can see the mark on her shirt where he's supposed to hit, but right before he stabs her.
Really?
Yeah, if you watch it in slow motion, when he's picking her up by her throat, and then it shows like her torso before the knife goes in, you see a little black mark where the stuntman's supposed to stab.
Must have a look. Oh!
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, dear.
Is that a deflating dog?
You're rabid. You turned into Cujo. That was his response.
Oh, what did he do? Was that like a growl or a chuff?
He's growling because when he hears like somebody talking outside, if some people are walking on the street and talking, like he's very territorial.
Bless him. So okay,
I like having animals on the show since we're all animal lovers.
Yes.
Well, I would let the cats in, but they just run all over the keyboard, so it's too much.
Drop demon turds everywhere.
Yes. So do we?
Wes hates that word.
Turd.
What?
Yes, like
Next
if
time
I
he
even
comes over-
say it, he gets so upset.
The next time he
He
comes
says
over
it's
to
the gross word.
the next time he comes over to Grant's, if he does, I'm going to say turd cutter over and over.
Well, Greg said something to
Just to
him.
annoy him.
Greg said something to him, and like Wes thought it was just the most disgusting thing in the world because Greg had to go to the bathroom, and he said, I have a turd percolating.
Yeah.
So yes. So Wes just thought that was the filthiest, most nasty thing he'd heard.
It sounds like
I
something
take-
Justin would say.
Well, hardly. I do have some class. I take it that Wes isn't a big fan of A New Beginning.
Not really. I mean, Wes is not a fan of horror movies. I can't get him to watch. He'll watch cheesy 80s movies with me, you know, if I want him to. It's not because he wants to, but, you know, he won't watch, you know, like newer movies that are like supernatural ones that have a lot of jump scares, because he's one of these people that when he gets scared, he gets mad. So he would just be mad the whole time if we watch something like The Conjuring or something.
Right. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
What about Stuart?
Yeah.
Does he like watching them?
He likes Jali. He likes watching Jali. He won't watch Friday the 13th movies because he's seen them before. So he knows what they're like. He doesn't really like the really cheesy films. He just kind of, if I'm watching them, he'll just like look at me and just roll his eyes.
That's what I get all the time.
It's a cross we have to bear, isn't it?
Yes.
I love being single.
I don't understand how he can't get some enjoyment out of some of these, like especially if they're just so cheesy, they're funny.
Yes. No, but there's a lot of fun to do that. And we were talking about doing our getting the projector again and doing some like horror movies, like cheesy horror movies. But trouble is, a lot of our friends won't watch horror movies. They just don't anything with violence, you know, which kind of cuts out about 90%.
If you did, are the three of us invited?
Well, you can. Yes, you would. I'd love to have you all over, but it might be a bit expensive.
I thought you were going to
on
pay
the off
for
season
us.
or something. You can plan this like on the off season where airline tickets are cheap. We'll come over.
Yeah, well, we're still waiting for that that very rich listener, benefactor, who would like to pay for us to get together.
You know what we should do?
I think it would be something for us to do like a podcast all together at the same place.
You know what we ought to do? We ought to open like a GoFundMe, like just pay for Nathan and Joseph to go hang out with Erik and Justin for a weekend and record an episode and see if anyone actually does it.
Wouldn't Erik need some money to get to Justin as well?
It'd be quite cheap, I think, for me to get across to Bristol.
Yeah. We could set up like a GoFundMe page and see how long it takes it to build up, and then we can all just kind of hang out for like a night.
Well, if we'd have to wait until we're all as old as Melanie Kinnaman is before we get enough money to probably get you from Chattanooga to, I don't know, what's another town in Tennessee?
Knoxville, Memphis, Nashville.
It might happen one day. I think maybe if we were going to do it, I'd like to come over and go to one of the big horror cons.
Yeah, that's what you guys should do.
That's what we
should. And we'll all meet at a horror convention.
What we should do is get the horror conventions to pay for us.
Yes. I mean, we're celebrities, right?
Yeah, but well,
if you want to do something like New York or like Los Angeles or something like that, we could go to like the Fango Con or something.
Well, one day when we've got some money.
Yeah.
We've got some. Yes.
Well, Justin, your book, if you should release an ebook, maybe you'll make more money off of it.
Yeah.
You should bring like 1,000 copies of your book to sell, and we'll just set up a table at a convention.
That would be good, but it might be a bit expensive for me to get them over.
Yeah.
But it might be. Who knows? We'll see. Let's see how this develops.
Yeah, that would go over your 20k luggage allowance, I think.
Yes, it might.
If you are listening to this show and you are wealthy, send us money so we can do this.
Yes. And if you're wealthy and you pay for it and you're not mad, then you can come as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that? What kind of incentive that is. So, and we
can't go to a convention that Melanie Kinnaman is at, though, after this podcast.
Why?
Because of the way you've talked, of the way you've spoken about her.
Why? He asked why.
Well, then we couldn't go to one with Jamie Lee Curtis at it because of the way Joseph speaks about her.
Yeah, it's very limited what we can go to.
I have never.
And we couldn't go to anyone
ever.
We couldn't go to anyone that features the cast of Terror at 10 Killer because of the way Erik spoke of them.
True. Do they do conventions?
I think it'd be fine if we went to one with Melanie Kinnaman. We'd just take away her ear trumpet. And then she couldn't hear what we were saying.
Yeah.
Just the queen of mean.
He's the queen of mean.
I don't mean. I think she's probably a lovely woman and stuff. I just don't think she's very memorable in this, and it's not her fault. It's just, it's not exactly a fleshy part, as it were.
Unlike W.C. Voorhees.
Yes.
She's a big fleshy part. Stop.
Right. Well, I was going to say we'll move on to feedback, but as we have no feedback, because I say we are recording this 3 or 4 weeks early, so we actually recorded an episode last week, which isn't even out yet. So again, it's the Back to the Future styly with this. So we have none, but what we do have is while we're still waiting on Joseph to actually update this, here's the old contact details.
Be sure to search for and like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at THC_podcast. Our voicemail is 858-233-9281. And you can email us directly at the.hysteria.continues@gmail.com.
Was that an airplane?
Sorry?
Was that an airplane? Yeah.
Oh. Well, actually, we haven't, apart from all of the kind of little background noises and dog noises and all that kind of stuff, we've not had any Skype issues this time, have we?
No.
I'm surprised.
Kind of, yes. But yeah, have we got anything else to say? Should we say what we're going to be recording next time?
Yes.
It's Nathan's pick. Nathan?
Yes. Nathan.
Well, it's not my pick. It's a listener pick. But I will be hosting it. Madman Mars.
Yes.
Don't say his name above a whisper, which I just did. Oh, shit.
Unfortunately, we don't know who picked it, so if you picked it, please send us an email.
Yes, if you're still listening to the show.
Yeah.
I'm quite looking forward to talking about that one. I enjoy Madman, probably more than you, Nathan.
Well, yeah, like I said, I don't dislike it, and maybe I'll love it after watching it this time.
Yeah,
you never know.
Okay. Well, let's see. But yeah, let's get on to. We'll be talking.
If
about
I can get Erik to love Tarot 10 Killer, anything's possible.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
Yeah. We're still living in fear that you're going to do that and double bill. It's going to double bill of that and
Blood Lake.
Blood Lake.
Yes.
Ah.
God.
I'll be washing my hair that day.
Wait till we're finished with listener picks and it's good to go.
Oh,
that's the day of my colonoscopy.
Better postpone it.
Actually, that will be the colonoscopy right there.
Yes.
I might fake a car crash.
Fake one, yeah.
I don't know why after you guys watch it this time, you're going to love both of them.
Well, I've never seen Blood Lake. I've seen Tarot 10 Killer once, but I've not seen Blood Lake. I do own both of them, but
you are in for a
treat.
Yeah.
World of pain.
Gosh. Right. Okay. Well, have we got anything left to say about Friday the 13th? Or
it's the greatest Friday the 13th ever.
Yes. Well, that's not true.
Friday the 13th, Part 5. You are so hot. That's what I want to say.
It's showtime.
Right. Well, we'll be playing out with. What are we playing out with, Joseph?
This is His Eyes by Pseudo Echo. The song that Violent dances to.
So we'll say goodbye to the good people.
Goodbye.
Bye, good people.
Bye, good people.
And the forecast is cloudy in the mountains, sunny in the valleys, and snow flurries up your nose.